Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! In the stillness of an afternoon, sunlight dances through half-open curtains, painting the quiet rooms. Time seemed to mold around this house, bearing an invitation laced with unease. For an eternity of moments, he wrestled with the decision. Always the same, always a battle. Ryder's breath caught as he entered the bedroom threshold, the familiar fear gripping him. Ellen's workday stretched endlessly, her duties at the hospital often keeping her away. He knew he had time, but the weight of his intentions felt immense. His feet sunk into the plush carpet, each step a silent declaration. Their king-sized bed remained neatly made, Ellen's organizational habits ever present, even in her absence. The walk-in closet door stood slightly ajar, as if beckoning.
"This is stupid,"
he muttered, running a hand through his short blonde hair. Yet his feet carried him forward anyway. The closet light flickered on automatically. Left side, his clothes. Dress shirts arranged by color. Suit jackets waiting for client meetings that rarely required them anymore since he'd started working remotely. Right side, Ellen's wardrobe, a vibrant display of colors and fabrics that had caught his eye more times than he cared to admit. His fingers trailed along a pink floral sundress hanging near the front. The material felt light, almost weightless. Ellen had worn it to a garden party last summer, the fabric flowing around her as she laughed in the sunshine. He'd watched her that day, feeling an emotion he couldn't name. Not quite envy, not quite longing.
"Just once,"
he whispered to the empty room.
"Nobody will know."
With trembling hands, he lifted the dress from its hanger. The closet suddenly felt too small, too intimate. He retreated to the bedroom, laying the garment carefully across the duvet. Ryder undressed slowly, each discarded piece of masculine clothing, the faded jeans, the plain blue t-shirt, making his heart beat faster. Standing in just his underwear, he hesitated, caught in the mirror's unforgiving gaze. The man reflected back at him looked ordinary. Average height, reasonably fit from weekend bike rides, blonde hair beginning to thin slightly at 35. Nothing remarkable, nothing that hinted at the storm of feelings inside him. He slipped the dress over his head, the fabric cascading down his body. It fit surprisingly well. Ellen was tall for a woman, and they'd always joked about having similar builds. The hem fell just above his knees, and the shoulder straps settled comfortably. A sound escaped him, half laugh, half gasp. The person in the mirror looked transformed. Not entirely feminine, not with his muscled arms and day-old stubble, but different. Something awakened.
"Not finished,"
he murmured, returning to the closet with newfound purpose. Ellen's shoe collection occupied the back wall. Ryder selected a pair of nude heels, simple in design but elegant. He'd watched her put them on countless times, never admitting his fascination with the ritual. Balancing against the doorframe, he slipped his feet into them. Too tight across the width, but manageable. Standing upright required concentration, his ankles wobbling slightly with each step back to the mirror. The reflection changed again. His posture straightened naturally in the heels, shoulders dropping back, chin lifting. The dress hung better now, the silhouette more defined. Ryder twirled experimentally, watching the fabric billow around his legs. A smile spread across his face. Genuine, unguarded, the kind Ellen said she missed seeing.
"One more thing,"
he decided, moving toward Ellen's vanity. Her makeup collection sat neatly arranged in acrylic organizers. Ryder had watched her morning routine for years, observing the precise movements as she applied products he couldn't name. From the forest of bottles and tubes, he selected a lipstick he recognized, her favorite red, worn on special occasions. Hand surprisingly steady now, he uncapped it and turned the base, watching the crimson column emerge. With careful concentration, he outlined his lips, then filled them in, pressing them together as he'd seen Ellen do countless times. The transformation stunned him. The bright color drew attention to his face, softening its angles somehow. Not perfect, nothing like Ellen's skilled application, but striking nonetheless.
Who are you?
He whispered to his reflection. The sound of a key in the front door shattered the moment. Panic seized him. Ellen wasn't due home for hours. His mind raced through possibilities, canceled surgery, forgotten paperwork, as footsteps moved through the house. "Ryder, are you home? I saw your car in the driveway." Not Ellen's voice. Barbara, his mother-in-law, who had a spare key for emergencies and apparently no concept of calling ahead. "I brought that book Ellen wanted to borrow. Thought I'd drop it off since I was in the neighborhood." The footsteps grew closer. Ryder stood frozen, lipstick still in hand, dressed in his wife's clothes, nowhere to hide.
Ryder?
The bedroom door pushed open. Barbara appeared in the doorway, elegant as always in pressed slacks and a cream blouse, silver hair perfectly styled. The book in her hand dropped to the floor with a dull thud. Ryder began, voice catching. What possible explanation could he offer? Barbara's eyes widened, taking in the scene. Her son-in-law in her daughter's dress, wearing her heels, lipstick smeared slightly at the corner of his mouth. The seconds stretched between them, unbearable. Then, incredibly, her expression softened. "Oh, my dear," she said quietly. "I think we should sit down and talk." Ryder remained motionless, waiting for the disgust, the anger, the phone call to Ellen that would destroy everything. Instead, Barbara closed the bedroom door and moved to sit on the edge of the bed, patting the space beside her. "Come," she said. "You're going to fall in those heels if you keep standing like that." Somehow, he managed to walk to the bed, perching awkwardly beside her, tugging the dress down over his knees. The lipstick still clutched in his hand like evidence. "I can explain," he started, though he had no idea what explanation he could possibly offer. Barbara shook her head. "You don't have to explain anything to me, Ryder. Not if you don't want to." He stared at her, confusion replacing terror. "You're not upset?" "Why would I be upset?" Barbara's voice remained gentle, matter-of-fact. "This isn't the first time I've encountered someone exploring their identity." "My identity?" The words felt foreign on his painted lips. Barbara nodded, her eyes kind but direct. "My brother Robert started wearing our mother's clothes when he was 16. By 30, he was living as Rebecca." The revelation left Ryder speechless. In 5 years of marriage to Ellen, he'd never heard mention of a transgender aunt. "Ellen doesn't know," Barbara continued, answering his unspoken question. "Rebecca moved across the country before Ellen was born. We kept in touch through letters, then emails. She passed away 10 years ago. Cancer. By then, the distance had grown too great. I never found the right moment to tell Ellen about her aunt."
"I'm sorry,"
Ryder managed.
"Don't be. Rebecca lived authentically, which is more than many can say."
Barbara gestured to his outfit. "Is this the first time?" He nodded, shame coloring his cheeks. I didn't plan to. But you've thought about it before?" "Yes. The admission felt like stepping off a cliff, terrifying and somehow freeing. For years. Barbara nodded thoughtfully. And how does it feel, wearing the dress? Ryder took a deep breath.
Right,
he whispered.
Like I can breathe properly for the first time.
A small smile touched Barbara's lips. I remember Rebecca saying something similar. Ellen can never know. The panic returned, lodging in his throat. She wouldn't understand. You might be surprised. Barbara placed a hand over his. My daughter has a compassionate heart.
She married a man.
Ryder gestured helplessly at himself.
Not whatever this is.
She married a person she loves, Barbara corrected gently. The packaging matters less than you might think. Tears threatened, burning behind his eyes. I don't even know what this means. Am I like your brother, or just confused? Those answers come with time. Barbara stood, straightening her slacks. And exploration, which is difficult to do when you're terrified of discovery. She walked to the vanity, retrieving a makeup remover wipe, and handed it to him. Clean your face, change your clothes, then come downstairs. I'll make tea, and we can talk properly. Why are you helping me? The question burst from him. Barbara paused at the door. Because I couldn't help Rebecca when it mattered most, and because your family. She glanced back at him, eyes suddenly fierce with protective love.
No one should have to walk this path alone.
After she left, Ryder carefully removed the lipstick, changed back into his clothes, and returned everything to its proper place. But as he headed downstairs to the promised conversation, something fundamental had shifted. The man who descended those stairs wasn't quite the same one who had climbed them an hour earlier. The kitchen smelled of chamomile and honey. Barbara had found Ellen's favorite teapot, the delicate porcelain one with hand-painted violets that usually remained displayed rather than used. Sit, she instructed, pouring the golden liquid into matching cups. Sugar? No, thank you. Ryder's voice sounded strained to his own ears. His feet, now back in plain white socks, still seemed to feel the phantom pressure of the heels. Barbara settled across from him, hands wrapped around her cup. I want you to know that whatever you share stays between us, but I also think you should consider telling Ellen.
I can't.
The mere thought sent fresh panic through him.
Not today, perhaps, but secrets have a way of surfacing, especially important ones.
Ryder stared into his tea.
I don't even know what to tell her. I don't understand it myself.
Start with what you do know. Barbara's voice remained calm, anchoring. How long have you been interested in wearing women's clothes? The question hung between them, direct and unavoidable. Since college, I think. Ryder's fingers traced the rim of his cup. Maybe earlier. I used to notice women's outfits, not just noticing them, but imagining how they'd feel to wear. I thought everyone did that. And today was the first time you actually tried? Yes. The memory of the dress against his skin brought a flush to his face. I never had the courage before. Barbara nodded. Courage is precisely what it takes. What stopped you until now? Fear. Shame. He looked up, meeting her eyes. Confusion. Am I broken somehow? No. Her response came instantly, firmly. You're discovering parts of yourself. That's human, not broken. But normal men don't want to wear dresses. Normal is a setting on a washing machine, not a useful category for people. Barbara sipped her tea thoughtfully. Gender isn't as binary as many pretend. Some people feel a mismatch between their body and their internal sense of self. Others enjoy expressing different aspects of gender through clothing or behavior. Some realize they're somewhere between or beyond traditional categories altogether. Which am I? Only you can answer that, over time. She set down her cup. But I can help you explore safely, if you want. The offer stunned him. How? My house is empty since Frank passed. You could keep some things there. Experiment without fear of discovery until you're ready to talk to Ellen. You'd do that for me? I told you, no one should walk this path alone. Barbara reached across the table, squeezing his hand. And I think you've been alone with these feelings for far too long. Something cracked open inside him then. Relief, gratitude, hope, bringing tears he couldn't control. Barbara moved to his side, wrapping an arm around his shoulders as he wept, years of hidden confusion pouring out.
Thank you,
he managed, finally, wiping his eyes. I don't deserve your kindness. Everyone deserves kindness, especially when facing their truth. She checked her watch. Ellen won't be home for hours. Would you like to try again, properly this time? I can help with the makeup. The offer tempted him beyond words, but caution prevailed. Not today. I need to think. Of course. Barbara stood. But when you're ready, call me. We'll make arrangements. As she gathered her things to leave, she paused. One question, if I may. When you saw yourself in the mirror today, how did it make you feel? Ryder considered, searching for honesty. Like I was seeing myself clearly for the first time. Barbara nodded, as if he'd confirmed something she already suspected. Remember that feeling. It matters. After she left, Ryder sat alone in the quiet house, the afternoon's events replaying in his mind. Terror and revelation, shame and recognition, all swirling together. One truth emerged clearly. Whatever path lay ahead, he couldn't return to the life of denial he'd lived until today. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of careful normality on the surface. Working from home, weekend dinners with friends, mundane conversations with Ellen about bills and future plans. But beneath that current ran another reality. Frequent texts with Barbara, furtive research late at night, and a growing certainty that wouldn't be silenced. Saturday morning brought Ellen's announcement that she'd been called in for an emergency surgery. Mrs. Patterson's aneurysm can't wait. I'll be gone all day, maybe into the evening. No problem. Ryder kept his voice casual, fighting the acceleration of his heartbeat. I'll find something to do. After she left, he immediately texted Barbara. Today? The response came quickly. I'll be ready in an hour. The drive to Barbara's elegant colonial house in the older part of town felt surreal. He'd visited countless times for holiday dinners and summer barbecues, always as Ellen's husband, always firmly in his assigned role. Today he arrived as someone else, someone without a name yet, but increasingly real. Barbara welcomed him with a warm hug. I've prepared the guest room upstairs. Everything's laid out for you. You bought things? Surprise colored his voice. A few basics. Consider it a belated birthday gift. She gestured toward the stairs. Go on up, take your time. I'll be in the garden when you're ready. The guest room had been transformed. Laid carefully across the bed was a simple outfit, a knee-length navy blue dress with 3/4 sleeves, a cardigan in soft cream, and a pair of comfortable-looking flats. On the dresser sat a modest makeup kit, a blonde wig on a stand, and other accessories. Ryder touched each item reverently. "How did you know my size?" The question had no audience, but answering it helped calm his nerves. Barbara had simply asked during one of their conversations, matter of fact as always. "For when you're ready," she'd said, as if helping her son-in-law explore his gender identity was the most natural thing in the world. He undressed slowly, folding his jeans and button-down shirt neatly. Beneath the main outfit, he discovered undergarments. Nothing risque, just practical basics that would help create a more feminine silhouette. The transformation took over an hour. Each piece required consideration, adjustment, a moment to absorb the new sensation. The dress fit perfectly, its fabric draping in flattering lines. The wig, a simple bob of blonde hair that matched his natural color, took several attempts to position correctly. Makeup proved the greatest challenge. Despite watching tutorials Barbara had suggested, his hands shook slightly. The results weren't perfect, but they softened his features, bringing a glow to his cheeks and definition to his eyes. Finally, he stepped back, taking in the complete image in the full-length mirror. The person reflected back wasn't Ryder Morgan, marketing director and Ellen's husband, but neither was she a stranger. Something in the eyes remained familiar, the essence beneath the presentation. "Hello," she whispered to her reflection. The garden behind Barbara's house bloomed with late summer flowers, a riot of colors against the weathered brick patio. Barbara looked up from her book as footsteps approached, her expression warming. "Look at you," she said softly. "Beautiful." Self-consciousness made movement difficult. The dress swished against bare legs as she walked carefully in the unfamiliar shoes. "I feel ridiculous," she admitted, taking the chair Barbara indicated. "You look anything but ridiculous. A bit nervous, perhaps. That's natural." Barbara poured lemonade from a pitcher. "The wig suits you. Keeping your natural color was a good choice. It feels strange, having hairbrush against my neck. You'll get used to it, or grow your own out eventually." The casual mention of eventually hung between them, an acknowledgement that this might not be a one-time experiment. "I don't know what to call myself," she confessed. "When I see her in the mirror." Barbara considered this. "Names have power. Take your time choosing. Try some on privately until one feels right. Have you been reading about this? Every night since I found you in that pink dress." Barbara's directness remained comforting in its consistency. "I'm not an expert, but I'm learning." They spoke for hours in that garden, the conversation flowing more easily with each passing minute. Barbara shared stories about Rebecca, pulling out old photographs of a tall woman with kind eyes and a confident smile, family resemblance evident despite the transition. She was happiest in the last decade of her life, Barbara explained, after she stopped trying to live partly in both worlds and embraced herself fully. As afternoon faded toward evening, Barbara broached the subject they'd been circling. "What are you thinking about Ellen?" The question brought reality crashing back. "I can't lose her." "That's not what I asked." A deep breath. "I'm thinking I love her more than anything, and I'm terrified she'll hate me for this." "Ellen doesn't hate easily," Barbara reminded her. But she does value honesty. This would change everything between us. Everything changes anyway, with time. The question is whether you'll change together or apart. The words landed heavily. Before she could respond, Barbara's phone chimed with a text message. "It's Ellen," Barbara said, reading the screen. "The surgery finished early. She's stopping by here on her way home to borrow a book." Panic erupted. "I need to change. She can't see me like this." "There's no time." Barbara's voice remained steady. "She's already on her way. 10 minutes out." "Barbara, please." Terror made her voice shake. "I can't face her yet." "Listen to me." Barbara grasped her hands firmly. "You have 2 choices. Run upstairs, change as quickly as possible, and hope she doesn't arrive before you're done, or stay exactly as you are and face this moment with courage. That's not a real choice. It's the only choice that matters." Barbara's eyes held firm compassion.
Living authentically always comes down to this moment. The moment you decide if fear will dictate your life.
The seconds ticked by, decision hanging in the balance.
"What should I do?"
she whispered.
"What does your heart tell you?"
The answer came with surprising clarity. After weeks of confusion, this one truth shone through. "I can't keep lying to her." Barbara nodded, squeezing her hands once more before releasing them. "Then we wait together." The next 8 minutes stretched eternally. They moved inside to the living room, where she perched on the edge of the sofa, hands clasped tightly in her lap, rehearsing impossible explanations in her mind. The sound of a car in the driveway, a door slamming, footsteps on the porch, the front door opening. "Mom, I'm here for that gardening book you mentioned." Ellen's voice from the entryway, familiar, beloved, unaware that her world was about to shift. Barbara met her daughter in the hall, their voices low, Barbara's tone gentle but firm. Then silence, followed by careful footsteps approaching the living room. Ellen appeared in the doorway, still wearing scrubs beneath her light jacket, hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. Her expression registered shock as she took in the scene. The person sitting in her mother's living room, wearing a navy dress and blonde wig, makeup carefully applied but clearly masculine features visible beneath. Recognition dawned slowly, disbelief washing over her face. "Ryder?" Her voice barely audible. Standing required tremendous effort, the dress suddenly feeling like a confession of guilt. "Ellen, I can explain." Ellen remained frozen, eyes moving from the wig to the dress to the carefully applied makeup. "Mom, what is this?" Barbara stepped forward. "Your spouse needed a safe place. I provided one." "You knew about this?" Ellen's voice sharpened with betrayal. "I discovered it by accident. The rest was a choice to support family." Ellen turned back, examining the transformed figure before her. "How long?" "This is only the second time I've dressed this way," came the honest answer. "But I've felt it my whole life." "Felt what exactly?" Ellen's clinical precision emerged, the surgeon seeking diagnosis. "That the person I appear to be isn't completely who I am inside." The words came slowly, painfully honest. "That something fundamental was missing. Ellen, I never meant to deceive you." Yet here we are. Ellen's voice trembled slightly. "My husband, standing in my mother's living room, wearing a dress and calling it truth." "Ellen," Barbara cautioned. No, Mom. I'm allowed to be shocked. I'm allowed to feel blindsided. Ellen ran a hand over her face. 5 years of marriage, and this is how I learn who I really married? I'm still the same person who loves you, came the desperate reply. Are you? Ellen challenged. Because the person I married never mentioned wanting to be a woman. I don't know if woman is exactly right yet. I'm still figuring it out. The confession emerged brokenly. But I know pretending this part of me doesn't exist isn't working anymore. Ellen stared for a long moment, emotions warring across her face. Finally, she turned to her mother. I need to process this. Alone. Ellen, please. The plea came desperately. Just talk to me. I can't right now. I need space. Ellen's voice hardened with hurt. Stay here tonight. I can't look at you and think clearly. Without waiting for a response, she left, the front door closing firmly behind her. Collapse came instantly, knees buckling, tears destroying carefully applied makeup. Barbara was there immediately, arms supporting, guiding her back to the sofa. She hates me, came the broken whisper. She's shocked and hurt, Barbara corrected gently. That's different from hate. I've lost her. You don't know that yet. Barbara handed her a tissue. Ellen needs time. This isn't something anyone absorbs instantly. The night passed in painful slowness. Barbara provided sleepwear, soft cotton pajamas that felt gentle against skin raw with emotion. Sleep came fitfully, dreams tangled with fears of abandonment and relief at finally being seen. Morning brought puffy eyes and a hollow feeling where panic had burned. Barbara appeared with coffee and gentle practicality. You should call her, she advised. Not to explain or defend, just to establish communication. The phone call went to voicemail. The message left was simple. It's me. I'm still at your mom's. When you're ready to talk, I'll be here. I love you. Days passed. 3, to be exact. 3 days of existing in a strange limbo, wearing borrowed clothes that felt increasingly natural, helping Barbara in her garden, watching for Ellen's car that never appeared. Texts went unanswered. Barbara relayed that Ellen was staying with a colleague, thinking things through. On the 4th morning, Barbara placed a small shopping bag on the breakfast table. What's this? A few things of your own. Barbara poured coffee calmly. If you're staying longer, you need more than the 2 outfits we've been washing repeatedly. You think I should stay here? Not try to go home? I think forcing Ellen to face this before she's ready will only cause more damage. Barbara's practicality remained her greatest gift. And I think you need time too, to become comfortable with yourself before you can help her understand. The shopping bag contained simple, tasteful items. Jeans cut for women, but not aggressively feminine. Soft sweaters in neutral colors. Practical undergarments. Basics for a transitional wardrobe. Thank you. Emotion threatened again. For everything. You still need a name, Barbara observed. At least provisionally. I can't keep calling you dear indefinitely. The question had occupied many quiet hours. Names tried on mentally, discarded, reconsidered. Now, one emerged clearly. Julia, she said quietly. I think I'd like to be Julia. Barbara smiled. Julia suits you. The name settled, a christening of sorts. Julia, not replacing Ryder entirely, but revealing the person who had always existed beneath the surface. That afternoon, As Julia helped Barbara transplant perennials, a car pulled into the driveway. Ellen emerged, dressed in jeans and a simple green blouse, hair loose around her shoulders. She stood watching them work for a moment before approaching. "Mom?" She nodded to Barbara. Then, after a visible hesitation, "Julia." The name, her name, on Ellen's lips sent a shock through Julia's system. Barbara tactfully excused herself, disappearing into the house.
"You've been talking to your mother,"
Julia observed, setting down her gardening tools and wiping soil-stained hands on borrowed jeans. "Every day." Ellen's gaze took in the casual outfit, the makeup-free face, the short blonde hair now free of the wig. "You look different today. More myself," Julia offered cautiously. "Not trying so hard." Ellen nodded, processing. "Can we walk? I need to move while we talk." They circled Barbara's large backyard, maintaining careful distance between them. Ellen spoke first. "I'm sorry I walked out. I needed time." "I understand." "Do you?" Ellen stopped, turning to face her. "Because I'm not sure I understand any of this yet."
"What do you want to know?"
"Everything. When this started. What it means for us. Who you actually are." Ellen's voice caught. "If our whole marriage has been a lie."
"Never that."
Julia reached for Ellen's hand, relieved when she didn't pull away. "I've always loved you. That's the most honest thing about me." They sat on the garden bench, autumn sunlight filtering through changing leaves above them. Julia explained as best she could the lifelong feelings of disconnection from masculinity, the relief of finally acknowledging her true self, the fear of losing everything that mattered. "So, where does this leave us?" Ellen asked finally. "Are you planning to transition medically?" "I don't know yet," Julia answered honestly. "I'm taking this one day at a time." "And what am I supposed to do with this? I married a man. I'm not attracted to women." The question cut deeply. "I'm still the same person inside."
"But you're not, Julia. That's the whole point."
Ellen's frustration broke through. "You're asking me to completely reconfigure how I see my spouse, my marriage, my future."
"I know."
Tears threatened again. "And I wouldn't blame you if you walked away." Ellen was quiet for a long moment.
"That would be simpler, wouldn't it?" "Simpler, yes, but not what I want."
"What do you want?" "A chance," Julia whispered. "A chance for us to figure this out together. For you to get to know the real me. To see if what connected us transcends gender." Ellen didn't respond immediately, her gaze fixed on the garden stretching before them. "I need more time," she said finally. "But not complete separation. Baby steps." "What does that mean?" "Dinner," Ellen said decisively. "Tomorrow night. Just us, at that Italian place we like. You dress however makes you comfortable. We talk. We see how it feels." Hope bloomed fragile but persistent. "I'd like that." "I'm not making promises, Julia. I don't know where this leads." "I understand." As Ellen stood to leave, she hesitated. "You look nice with the blonde hair. It suits you." The simple observation carried weight beyond its words, an acknowledgement, however tentative, of Julia's emerging self. The restaurant was dimly lit, intimate without being romantic. Julia arrived first, having spent hours preparing, choosing a simple black dress that flattered without drawing attention, applying makeup sparingly, arranging her growing blonde hair, now reaching her ears after weeks of no cutting, with careful attention. Ellen appeared precisely on time, as always. Her eyes widened slightly at Julia's appearance, but she offered a small smile as she sat. "You look nice," she said simply. "So do you." Ellen wore a burgundy wrap dress Julia had always admired on her. Conversation started awkwardly, navigating new terrain. They ordered wine, then food, discussing safe topics. Ellen's work, Barbara's garden, a movie they'd both seen separately. Eventually, Ellen set down her fork. "This is strange." "Very," Julia agreed. "But not terrible." Ellen studied her face. "You seem more relaxed than I have seen you in years. I feel more real. That's what hurts the most, you know." Ellen's voice softened. "The idea that you were never fully yourself with me." "I didn't know how to be," Julia admitted. "I was still hiding from myself." The evening progressed, tension gradually easing. By dessert, they were almost comfortable, finding moments of their old connection beneath the new reality. As they prepared to leave, Ellen made a decision. "Would you like to come home? Not permanently yet, but to talk more, in our space." The invitation meant everything. "Yes." Their house felt simultaneously familiar and foreign as Julia entered for the first time as herself. Family photos lined the hallway, wedding pictures, holiday celebrations, vacations, all featuring the person she'd presented as for so long. "It's strange," Ellen said, following her gaze. "Looking at those now." "I was happy in those moments," Julia assured her, "just not complete." They talked until morning light filtered through the blinds, painful honesty giving way to cautious planning. Ellen shared her fears of losing the partner she'd loved, of navigating a relationship suddenly viewed differently by the world, of her own identity as a heterosexual woman married to someone transitioning. Julia acknowledged the challenges ahead, physical changes if she pursued medical transition, legal complications, family reactions beyond Barbara's acceptance. No conclusions were reached, no guarantees made. But as dawn broke, Ellen made one commitment. "I want to try. I can't promise we'll succeed, but I want to try." 6 months later, the garden behind their house burst with spring flowers. Julia knelt in the soil, planting new perennials under Barbara's guidance. Her blonde hair, now reaching her shoulders, was pulled back in a practical ponytail. The simple floral dress she wore was comfortable for gardening, practical but affirming. Ellen appeared from the house, carrying lemonade, her smile no longer cautious, but genuine. "You two have been at it for hours." "Your mother is relentless," Julia complained good-naturedly, accepting the cold glass. "She gets results, though," Ellen observed, surveying the transformed garden. Barbara straightened, brushing dirt from her pants. "Speaking of results, have you received your updated documents yet?" Julia nodded. "Yesterday, Julia Morgan exists officially now." The process had been lengthy. Name change, gender marker updates, endless bureaucracy, but each step had cemented her identity in the world. "We should celebrate," Barbara declared. "Dinner tomorrow night. I'll cook." As Barbara gathered her gardening tools, Ellen sat beside Julia on the garden bench, their shoulders touching comfortably. "Happy?" Ellen asked quietly. Julia considered the question seriously. The past months had brought challenges, hormone therapy beginning to reshape her body, difficult conversations with friends and colleagues, periods of doubt, and dysphoria. But beneath those turbulent currents, ran a steady truth. Authentically so, she answered. For the first time. Ellen's hand found hers, fingers interlacing naturally. Their relationship had transformed too, redefined, rediscovered, sometimes painfully but increasingly with joy. Ellen had questioned her own sexuality, eventually settling into the understanding that her connection to Julia transcended simple categorization. Barbara was right, Ellen mused. That day in her garden when she told me to give us a chance. Your mother is wise. Don't tell her that. She's insufferable enough already. Ellen squeezed her hand. Barbara called from the patio door. Are you two all right out here? Need anything else? A smile bloomed on Julia's face, mirroring the blossoms around her. We're perfect, Barbara. Thank you. And in that moment, Julia knew they truly were.
Thanks for watching my girlies. Be sure to check out Patreon for more.